Hi everyone. So in the last video, I showed you how we have recorded the first version of our macro, which does this. It clicks on the wallet, it enters a coin, it clicks on the sell button, it captures the sell price, and it goes back to the dashboard. Okay, and that's what that script does. Now, while that is good, you will notice that this is a one pass macro. And you can see that the coin that is looking for is hard coded in the macro. So what we want to do today is to create a list of coin names. So we'll put BNB there, we'll put BTC, as you can see, we'll put Stellar, XLM, and maybe one more LTC Litecoin. Okay, and we want to pass this list into the macro, and to do that we first save it as a CSV file, and I recommend that we save it in the desktop. Okay, and once we have saved that CSV file, we can now import it into UI.Vision. As you can see, it's been imported, and if you open it, you can see those 4 rows that I just created. Now that we have imported the file, what we want to do is to add the commands to read the file. Okay, and in UI.Vision, you can use the CSV read or the CSV read array. And in this case, we use the CSV read array, and we pass in the name of the CSV file, and we store whatever it reads into a variable called array coins. Let's execute the CSV read array command and see what it does. Okay, so we executed that, and if we go into the variables tab and we switch on the advanced internal variables, we'll see a few interesting variables, but to note, I want to bring your attention to CSV read max row. And what that variable contains is the number of rows that in total that it read from that file. So just take note of that. But what we want to do now is to add another line. And the next command we want to do is something called execute script sandbox. And what this does is it runs a small little JavaScript command. And what we're doing here is we are generating a number 1 and store that into a variable called current line. So let's save the script or macro and let's go back to our macro here, and we add one more step, and we'll start with a while loop. So a while essentially starts is a command to loop through the other commands after it, right? And what we want to do is the while loop is to check whether the current line is less than or equal to the maximum number of lines that is in the file that we saw earlier, right, from the CSV read max row variable. So what we're saying here is I want the commands after the while command to run over and over again as long as we are not at the end of the file. Yeah. So let's clear the last value field, and we go to the last line of our macro, add a command, and we end the loop here. Okay. Okay, so let's just do a little bit of review. So we have a while loop that starts there, and it checks the current line. But what we need to do is to add one more step, which is to increment the current line at the end of the loop. So this way, after the loop runs one time, it will increment that current line by 1. Okay, so we do a return current row plus 1 current, it should be current line, sorry, not current row. Okay, so we return current line plus 1 and we store that same value back into current line. Let's save the script or the macro and let's review what we've done by playing the macro. So let's play it, and now if all goes well, the macro should run 4 times. As you can see here, this is the first loop. Okay, and we've started the second loop by entering BNB again. Okay, and we've started the third loop now. Let's enter PNB again. And it should run the fourth loop. Yep, it started the fourth loop. And it should end after this. Okay, so you can see UI.Vision says done there. Okay, let's go back to our script to understand why it was entering BNB 4 times. Right? So if you go to the macro, you would see that BNB was hard-coded into the macro, and that's why even though we ran 4 times, every time it ran, it was just entering BNB. So let's read the file again, and I want to point your attention to this CSV read line number variable. And what it does is it actually directs UI.Vision to read that particular line number. So now let's add some steps to fix this problem, yeah? And we'll start by adding a line after the while command. Okay, as you can see, we add a line. And what we're going to do is do a CSV read. The CSV read will read one line from the CSV file. Okay, and we want to read that coin name into a variable called current coin. Save that. Okay, and if we just execute that command, you would see what I mean, right? So you see it read line number 1 and the coin is column 1. Okay, and then next what we want to do is add another command, which is to direct UI.Vision to read the line number. Okay, and the line number is actually the current line variable that we created earlier. Right, so what we want to do is store that current line variable into the special variable called CSV read line number, because this will then tell UI.Vision to read that particular line number. Okay, so every time we loop through, current line increases, we tell UI.Vision to read the next line and the next line, and so on and so forth. Okay, now when UI.Vision reads that file, it stores the value into a special variable called column 1. So what we're going to do is take that special variable and replace the hard-coded coin name in our macro. Okay, and we have that in 2 places. Okay, so that's it. And let's save the macro. Okay, and so what we're going to do now is run that macro. And this time around, it should change the name of the coin that it's looking for. Okay, so you can see it read the first line, BNB. Okay. And it's going for the second line. And you would see it's now reading BTC. Okay, let's minimize this window to make sure that it's actually entering and capturing the right prices for the right coins. Okay, so BTC, that's row number 2, and it's capturing the BTC price now. Okay, a bit more, it's XLM. Okay, so it's looking at the XLM wallet, and this is the XLM price. And finally, it should take one more, which is Litecoin, LTC, and Yep, so it's now reading the Litecoin price. Finally, you can see UI.Vision is finished running. So that's it. So what we want to do in the next video is to capture, is to actually output, whatever information we have captured from our macro into an output file. But that will come in the next video. And as usual, please don't forget to click like and subscribe to the channel if you find this content helpful, so that you'll be updated the next time I post an update to this video.